Okay, today we're going to have another topic. We're going to be talking about light, the importance of light. And yesterday I interviewed Dr. Jacob Lieberman, who lives on the island of Maui. And I think we have his book somewhere. He's written several books, but his book called Light Medicine of the Future is really an interesting book. And I belong to two organizations. One is the International Light Association. This is a group of doctors from all over the world that study the importance of light in healing and curing disease. And another organization called the College of Syntonics. And this year, both organizations are having their meeting in the United States. The International Light Association usually holds their meetings in Europe, but they're having their meeting in Fort Lauderdale this year, the end of April. So it's a phenomenal meeting. And then the Syntonic Light Association is holding their meeting in Pittsburgh this year in June. The Syntonic meeting, it's a group of optometrists, eye doctors, and this organization is 85 years old. So believe it or not, 85 years doctors have been using light to heal eye diseases. And to give you an example, if I would say to you that light can treat glaucoma, you'd probably laugh at me. Or if you'd go to your eye doctor and say, "Doctor, what about using light to treat my glaucoma?" But in 1947, in the American Journal of Ophthalmology, which is the leading peer-reviewed journal, there was an article, actually two articles published on light reversing glaucoma and helping glaucoma. And there were studies, numerous studies done in Europe showing that light can reverse macular degeneration and glaucoma. So light is a very powerful healing modality. In fact, all life depends on light. For example, we know that if plants do not get adequate light, they're going to die. In a plant, there's something called chlorophyll. And chlorophyll absorbs the light energy and converts it into energy. It's interesting, humans have something called hemoglobin. And if you have a hemoglobin molecule and a chlorophyll molecule next to each other, you'll say there's no difference. And they're almost identical except for one element. In chlorophyll, the center of that big molecule has magnesium. And the center of the hemoglobin molecule, all that has is iron, ferrum. They're identical.
What is it? The last one?
Ferrum, or iron. Iron.
Oh, okay.
So they're the same. So we are actually light beings. We absorb light just like a plant. And I was talking to Dr. Jacob Lieberman. I interviewed him for my radio show. And he'll be on this Sunday at 11, WJAS. But you can go online, WJAS, I think 1320, and you can listen to the interview. Or maybe we could even play it. I have the recording. We could even play it here. But he told me something shocking, that he met this professor in Europe who's been studying people who live on light. They don't eat. They're just living on light. I mean, isn't that bizarre? But they're getting sunlight. So theoretically, we should be able to live on light. And then during the course of our discussion, I thought of this. When we eat plants, we're actually eating sunlight, the energy of the light. So a couple days ago, I was talking about the importance of eating organic, healthy food. When we eat organic, raw food, we're eating light. The plant absorbs the light. That light energy is stored. So light therapy, you are all getting light therapy. And we are using syntonic light. And the whole theory behind syntonic light is that we want to balance the autonomic nervous system. So I mentioned that one of the biggest problems and causes for disease is when the autonomic nervous system is not in balance. You're in a stress state. Your body can't heal. So in syntonics, they call it the balance beam. There's red light on one side, and then the spectrum goes to the blue end. In the center is green. So green is considered to be the balance of the autonomic nervous system. So we either give you red shades of light or blue shades of light, depending on the state of your autonomic nervous system and the state of your disease. Most people, believe it or not, even though you may be stressed, you're in something called a adrenal fatigue or sympathetic overload. In other words, you're living your whole life in stress, and pretty soon it burns out your adrenals and nothing's left. So when you do become older and you develop chronic disease, you need more sympathetic energy to get your body more revitalized to heal. And so we give you maybe a little bit of red light to help your body. On the other hand, sometimes if there's overdrive, you have inflammation, we want to give you more blue light. So the value of the light therapy, let me try to explain it this way, that when you're looking at that light, you know, with your eyes open in that little machine, light is coming into your eye. Now, when a doctor looks inside your eye, he can actually see blood vessels and blood because the retina is transparent. So when that light shines in your eye, it's actually impregnating or penetrating every hemoglobin molecule in your body. So the choroidal vasculature is extremely high circulation. So when that light comes in, it's hitting every blood cell in your body and circulating. So it's actually a very powerful treatment. Of course, the other way we get light is, you know, shining it on the skin, and it's absorbed, you know, through the capillaries. But a powerful way is when you look at that light. And there have been articles published to show that light therapy can affect the autonomic nervous system, affect the neuroendocrine system, etc. During my interview, Dr. Lieberman and I were talking about the seasonal affective disorder. That occurs when you don't get enough light, especially people that live in extreme northern latitudes where during the winter you get very little light. People get depressed. You need that light energy. And then we were laughing because I told Dr. Lieberman, here in Florida, everybody goes to the beach to watch the sunset. You know, why is that? Because the sun is the source of energy. You're going to the beach because the sun is leaving and you want to say goodbye, you know, to the source of light. So the sunlight is so important for our general well-being. Now, I talked a little bit about Dr. Bates. And Dr. Bates was a turn-of-the-century ophthalmologist who felt that stress was the cause of all eye disease. And he developed a treatment called palming. Many of you have heard of palming, where you put your closed palm over your eye, and that puts kind of the body's healing energy into your eye. And also, it's a type of meditation because you're supposed to be relaxed and deep breathing. So the palming is very good for helping to rejuvenate your eye and to relax. In a way, palming is like microcurrent, because if you do Kirlian photography of the body, you see that the hands radiate all sorts of energy. So palming is a good way to relax your eyes. Dr. Bates also talked about something called sunning. And he was so far ahead of his time. This was in 1912. He talked about the importance of sunning, that when the sun is setting or rising, when it's low on the horizon, close your eyes and turn your head back and forth and let the image of your sun, be kind of like on your retina. So recently, in the German literature, there was an article published using the cold laser to treat macular degeneration and glaucoma. So when I read the article, I contacted the company that manufactured the laser, and it's the Thor laser. And we have it here. It's a $16,000 laser to treat the eye. So when we got the laser, my wife and I were treating each other. And my wife said to me, you know, honey, this is just like looking at the sun. And I said, my goodness, Bates was right. So you don't have to buy a $16,000 laser. All you need to do is when the sun is setting, do the sunning. And what is really fascinating, doctors have discovered that it's the red infrared laser. And when the sun is on the horizon setting, it's producing a red infrared light. When it's higher in the horizon, it's a blue ultraviolet light. But low, it's red infrared. So Bates was right. That sunning can be a very valuable tool. So you got two things you can do. You can palm, and I would recommend you palm when you're under stress and your eyes are tired or your vision's blurred. And then you have sunning, going out and visualizing the sun. And then remember too, anytime you eat good, healthy, organic food, you're putting sunlight into your body. You're putting healing energy, you're putting that negative charge, which is going to help your body to heal, making your body more alkaline, Now, light can also be dangerous if not used properly. There's a professor, Abraham Hayim, from Israel, who I interviewed a couple times on my radio show, and he's a researcher that has come up with a condition called light at night, L-A-N. And he had a theory that if you get too much light at night, it can cause certain diseases related to the circadian rhythm. By circadian rhythm, I mean the balance, light during the day, darkness at night. We need that circadian rhythm. So he looked at certain diseases, and he looked at a map of the world at night. And if you look at the map of the world at night, you see there's certain areas that are bright white light, like New York, Miami, LA, all the big cities. And then there's dark areas in the country. So he found that there was a much higher incidence of certain diseases in those areas. Now, most of you may be thinking, well, of course there's going to be more disease in those bright areas. There's more people, there's more stress. There's a city. It's a city. But he looked at the incidence of lung cancer as a control, and there wasn't an increase in incidence of lung cancer. So he looked at breast cancer, prostate cancer, macular degeneration, diabetes, obesity, and heart disease. He felt that all those were related to light at night. So what he did, he took this into a laboratory, and he got mice. And he injected breast cancer cells into a mice, kept the group in a normal environment, by that light during the day, dark at night. Then the other group, he kept light during the day and light at night. And he studied all these different diseases, and he found that the animals that had the light at night had a statistically significant higher growth. Breast cancer, prostate cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and macular degeneration, light at night, which I thought was a fascinating study. But then he took this one step further, which I thought was really brilliant. He wanted to find out what wavelength at night caused the greatest increase in these disease conditions. What wavelength? So he repeated the whole experiment. Imagine this. But he subjected the animals to red light at night, blue, green, yellow, all the spectrums. So what wavelength at night do you think caused the greatest increase of disease? There was only one wavelength that did it. Red? Blue? Blue is right. Blue. If you think about it, God wants us to have blue light during the day. The sky is blue, the ocean is blue. At night, what happens? When the sun sets, it becomes red. Red light is beneficial at night. Blue light is harmful. Now, Professor Hyam is greatly concerned because our government is forcing us to use compact fluorescent lights at night. They're getting rid of the incandescent. The compact fluorescent lights give off a blue spectrum. And he feels that's going to be the greatest health hazard that the human race is subject to, blue light at night. And he's convinced that blue light at night is the cause for the increased incidence of breast cancer. You have to avoid blue light at night. Hmm?
Full spectrum light is better.
No. You have to avoid the full spectrum at night. You need the red spectrum at night. Now, believe it or not, Steve Jobs and Apple know what they're doing. I couldn't believe this. The iPhone has a night shift. It takes the blue screen to a red screen at night. So the engineers were brilliant. It has a night shift, the iPhone, the i7 iPhone.
So is that why a lot of dashes in cars are red?
Well, the red light is better for you. Like we have a boat, and when you're navigating at night, all the lights, you put the red lights on. You can see better at night. And you know, the old photographers, when you had a dark room, when they were developing film, it was red light. Red light has less energy, and you need that less energy at night. You have to rest your body.
Where does LED lights fit in that spectrum?
That's a good question. Well, LEDs can be any spectrum at all. Any spectrum at all. But you can buy LEDs with the red spectrum. And you can buy them with the blue spectrum. So during the day, you know, the blue spectrum is probably better for you. But at night, you have to go shift to the red spectrum. So what can you do to avoid blue light at night? There's something called blue blockers. And you can buy the blue blockers at any drugstore, any optical shop. They're like the shooter glasses.
They were really popular 3 years back.
They're like a yellowish orange, and they block the blue light. They even have blue blocker screens on your computer. So now more and more people are using computers at night and iPhones, and and it's harmful for your eye. How many of you have a TV in your bedroom? Raise your hand. How many have macular degeneration? Keep your hand up. You got to get rid of the TV in your bedroom.
So a blue blocker glass would take care of
It would help.
I've always been told that the darker you have your room at night, the better.
Right, exactly. Something else happens. There is a lot of electromagnetic energy. And some doctors have discovered that the retina absorbs the electromagnetic energy, and it's almost like there's bright light in the room. So if you do have computer Wi-Fi and this magnetic energy coming in, your retina perceives it as the sun's lit. So in other words, all this electromagnetic energy is just like having light at night.
That's EMF.
The EMF, yeah. Now, I have seen a marked incidence of macular degeneration, especially macular wrinkles, epiretinal membranes, in people that have a, what is it called, a smart? No, it's the electric companies are now putting it.
Smart meters?
Smart meters, yeah, because it puts out an unbelievable amount of electromagnetic frequencies, especially if it's near your bedroom. So the smart meters are extremely, extremely hazardous. So our bedrooms should be a special place where they're electromagnetically free. So if you have a lot of electrical appliances in your bedroom, even if you turn the TV off, there's still current being flowed.
I bought a meter, and my flat screen
A kettle.
Next worst thing was the
Microwave?
microwave.
Yeah. So there are some homes being built now that don't have any electrical circuitry in the bedroom. Get rid of all the wiring, nothing. If you have a Wi-Fi in your home, you should turn it off at night. Now, there was a study done in China, a very interesting study, where they took a group of macular degeneration patients, and they did an experiment. For 3 months, they had these folks sleep in a totally dark room, no light. And they compared the study. One group slept in a room with light, ambient light, alarm clock, things like that. The other group, total darkness. The group that slept in total darkness had a marked improvement of their macular degeneration. So just sleeping in a dark room might reverse your macular degeneration. The study also showed that even the illumination of your alarm clock can affect your circadian rhythm. So forget it. You know, you may put a sleep mask on and think you're being protected. No. A couple photons of light hitting your hand will interfere with the circadian rhythm. You have to be in total darkness. So that means get rid of the night light, get rid of the alarm clock light, get the blackout drapes that they sell in your room. Your room should be totally dark. Now, some patients get upset with me because they're saying, Dr. Kondrot, you want me to drink all this water, then you want me to sleep in a totally dark room. I can't find a bathroom. Well, you can get a motion detector night light. Very inexpensive, but make sure it's a red light bulb. So when you get up, and we have one at our home, when I get up to go to the bathroom at night, the little light comes on and I can find my way to the bathroom instead of, you know. I think they're interchangeable bulbs. You can get a small one. So get. You can use a flashlight, yeah, but make sure it's a red light. So red at night.
Well, you can go and get go to a Photoshop and get a safe light, a red safe light.
Red safe light.
Well, I would assume that fans, if you operate a fan at night, you got electromagnetic force.
Right, a magnetic force. Yeah. So, you know, when you're young and you're in your teens and 20s and your eyes are healthy, these things don't adversely affect you. But as you get older, all your processes slow, digestion slow, your circulation, your body is more susceptible to this. This really made a big impact on me because when I was researching microcurrent, Ning Wu, the brilliant electrical engineer, was hooking my body up, and we had an oscilloscope. So as I was doing the microcurrent, he was measuring the effect of the microcurrent on the oscilloscope. So then he disconnected the oscilloscope, or disconnected the microcurrent. I was still hooked up to the oscilloscope, and there was a beat. I said to Ning, "Oh, that's my heart rate, isn't it?" He said, "No, you're picking up the electrical field in this room." So we're sitting here. In our body, it's like there's an electromagnetic soup. We're being bombarded with all these frequencies and waves, and it's adversely affecting us. Some people have an extreme sensitivity to electromagnetic energy. I know that one of my favorite places to be is at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. My wife and I, we went on a 10-day hike in the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And when you're at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, your cell phone doesn't work, nothing works. There's no electromagnetic energy. And I probably had some of the best nights sleeping at the bottom of the Grand Canyon because you're away from all that. Now, there's something else you can do to help your body, and that's called earthing. Has anybody heard about earthing? Dr. Stephen Sinatra, who's a brilliant alternative cardiologist, he's written several books, and we probably have them somewhere around the room. But I was at a meeting one time, and imagine this. It was probably about 2,000 doctors in the meeting. And he was going to speak on cardiology. And he says, I have to talk to you about another topic. This is the greatest discovery in my life. And he held up his new book on earthing. And he said, I want every one of you to have a copy of this book. And he gave all 2,000 doctors a copy of his book. Earthing has the belief that we are getting more chronic disease because we're not grounded to the earth. When the Russians began space travel, the cosmonauts went up into space, and they gave them the 4 elements they thought were essential for life. The 4 elements are oxygen, water, food, and sunlight. But they came back, and their bodies were debilitated. They had muscular atrophy, they had osteoporosis and weakness. They were missing the 5th element, which is magnetic energy. The Earth has a magnetic field. It's called the Schumann frequency, 7.28 hertz. We need that in our body. If we don't get that, we are going to degenerate. Something happened in the 1940s that adversely affected our society. We got away from leather-soled shoes. We got rubber-soled shoes. Rubber insulates you from the earth. Some of you spend your entire life with never touching the earth. So, Dr. Sinatra says, take off your shoes and socks and walk barefoot. Ground yourself to the earth. Go out and walk on the grass. That's one of the reasons why you feel so great when you go to the beach. You're barefoot in the sand, and when you go in that salt water is one of the greatest conductors. Your feet are in the ocean, you know, the 1,000 square mile ocean, and you're being grounded to the earth. So that frequency, the 7.2 hertz. And that is how the pulse electromagnetic field devices were developed. They're at a 7.2 hertz frequency. So the beamer, the other machines that we have, help vibrate. So now when the astronauts go up, they wear a pulse electromagnetic field suit which vibrates that frequency to keep them healthy. So you don't have to buy a $6,000 pulse electromagnetic field device. Take your shoes and socks off and walk barefoot. You don't have to buy a $16,000 red infrared laser. Go out and look at the sun. So all these things can help you regain your health.